I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. More iRacing action here for you on the National Racing Network. Where the second dip of our doubleheader. I think that's how we say it. The TNT Thunder Shock Series, Tuesday Night Thunder Shock Series, coming to you from North Wilkesboro Speedway. My goodness, I haven't even had anything to drink yet, and it's going to be a night. 0.625 miles that Justin Kreider owns the track record at an 18.785, setting a CRA super late model back in 2022. My name is Chris Graham, joined in the booth as always by Mr. Patrick Byrne, and I'll tell you what here, Bizzle, it may be a little bit light on the car count here. I see you've joined in to drive as we're getting down to the tail end of practice here. But this race is going to be interesting tonight. It sounds like dynamic track is coming into play. The fact that you don't know how long the race is, that's really going to play a factor as well. There's a lot to process here for these guys tonight.
Yeah, the fact that they're all talking about how difficult it is, and I'm going out here with approximately 0 laps of practice.
Sounds like a terrible idea, but it wouldn't be the first time you've had an absolutely terrible idea. Picking up Wes Shire as he's making his way down pit lane, and he's the guy who's doing the chasing in a championship battle. 2 races left in the season, and we have, gosh, what is it? Just a couple of point difference between Wes Shire in second and James Watson, your points leader. Every single thing is going to matter to these guys tonight. I mean, you can see Wes Shire practicing the pit entry even. If you have to make a green flag pit stop, taking a penalty, that could be enough to cost you the race and the championship.
Yeah, I think here, while there's a few seconds left in practice. Nope, never mind. The practice is over. I was going to go out and practice pit exit and entry, but I don't believe we're going to here.
Well, and quite frankly, there is something to be said for if you don't think you're going to need to do it at speed. Well, maybe you don't need to practice it all that much then either, because these cars have been incredibly tricky to drive here tonight. And AJ Camargo setting the best lap in practice, followed by Jesse Francisco and Mike Long. These are some new names that we're not used to seeing at the top of the board here in the TNT Shock Series.
Are we running a special format for this race? I'm seeing in the race details, we have our normal qualifying, 2 clean laps required. Then I'm seeing a heat 1 of 2 minutes and 3 laps, and then a feature race.
Yeah, no, we just, there is no heat race. It just bypasses everybody. But that's how you can, the only way to get the average qualifying is if you do heat racing. Brian Labarge going full send into turns 1 and 2, and quite frankly, it's putting him a little bit potentially here of a downswing, because you got to get the 2 clean laps in. You mentioned that. That's really important for these guys. They absolutely must get the clean laps in the books. Seeing a couple of drivers getting laps scored. Brian Labarge is going to be the first to get an official lap time on the scoreboard. 16.326 seconds for Labarge. But he's very quickly going to fall to the 4th position as Jesse Francisco moves to the top of the chart. 16.292. Andrew Berry going to be second quick. Now Jesse Francisco falls to second as AJ Camargo goes quick time. 16.237 seconds on the racetrack. We'll pick up Steven C. Thompson making his way off of turn number 4. Lap number 1 at a 16.115. Already going to work on lap number 2.
You have to remember, it is an average, though.
That is absolutely right. Lap number 2 for Stephen C. Thompson. Looks like it is going to be quick time 16.350 with a best lap of 16.114. That is a heater coming from Stephen C. Thompson. Simon Fell, very similar looking race car. Lap number 2 for Simon. Good enough for 4th quick at a 16.339. See, James Watson, one of our 2 championship contenders, working lap number 1 of his qualification run. TDC Havoc checking in the comments saying, let's go, James, showing Watson some love. Lap number 1 for Watson, 16.185. If he can duplicate it on lap 2, it's going to be up towards the front of the field. Where does Watson go? Quick time, 16.243. Oh, my goodness. Well, no, maybe not. Let's see. I'm seeing Stephen C. Thompson on one timing and scoring screen and James Watson on the other. We'll see who our quick timer is going to be here when, well, quite frankly, when it's time to show you the grid. But let's pick up Wes Shire, who is working lap number 1 of his qualification run, 16.488. The lap timer record for Shire on lap number 1. I believe it is going to be James Watson, if I had to guess.
James Watson is showing top of the board here. 16.213 is his average speed. Stephen Thompson's average speed is a 16.232.
Yeah, so there you go. $19,000 separating Watson from Thompson after their runs, and a nice 69,000 separating the top 3. As Ben Carswell, good to see Ben actually on the racetrack here tonight, and that's not giving Ben a hard time. He has been fighting computer issues kind of tooth and nail over the better part of the last week. He will slot himself into position number 9 with his qualification run. Still 5.5 minutes remaining, and it looks like the only car we have not seen take a time yet is Jason Miller. Bizzle, you are currently sitting at P11 on the board, is what it looks like to us here. About a second off the pace. But all in all, for having not driven the car or the racetrack in quite a while, that's not a bad qualification run, especially if you're thinking a long game strategy of, I need to be here at the end of this thing.
Yeah, I still out-qualified Brian Labarge, which is more impressive to me than anything. I know you said he had issues on his qualifying run. I was being very, very pushy on the brake, mostly just feeling out how the car would be under heavy braking, because I know that tends to upset these cars, but it feels pretty okay. I wouldn't say I'm confident here, but I'm not shaky after those 2 laps of qualifying. I should be all right for the race.
Well, I guess we'll find out here. Going to be an interesting one for sure. Now, with only Jason Miller left to take a time and still about 4 minutes and 20 seconds, I guess time to smoke him if you got him. But what are your thoughts here as we go into this race? Because for James and for Wes, this is 2 completely different races. This is potentially a night that James Watson, if he runs this cleanly, could put this championship away.
Yeah, especially James is doing very, very good here tonight, and Wes was very, very shaky the entire way through qualifying and practice. So it could be the night that James finally builds up a little bit of lead.
Well, I guess we will find out as this race develops. I mean, it was really interesting listening to these guys talk, because in talking to the Silver Crown guys and the Sprint Car guys, they were a little bit unsure of if the dynamic track was really going to come into play. I think we're seeing it in a very big way here. These guys ran 90 minutes of practice. There were darn near 1,000 laps put on this racetrack. That's a lot for these cars to be laying down. And quite frankly, with the dynamic track surface, things are going to change wildly. It's almost like you're going to have to do a reset on the track, if you will. So reset it after practice to some percentage of usage, which is not something we always had to do here when setting up kind of these hosted in league races.
Yeah, it is going to be very, very interesting to see how this one fills out, especially towards the end of it. These cars are going to put down way more rubber, I think, than a stock car would because of all that downforce and the softer compound they run.
Well, I guess we will find out as this race goes on. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. And actually, this is going to give us a chance to talk about and hype something up here a little bit, Bizzle. The Soda and a Smile 4. I can't believe we're talking about this race again. This is the 4th edition of this thing. Coming up this Saturday night, practice 8 o'clock Eastern, qualifying at 9, a 1-hour multi-class enduro at iRacing Super Speedway. The IR01, the IR18, the PM18, and the Silver Crown. Always one of our favorite races of the year. It is just an absolute blast ripping these cars around. The fast cars ripping around and trying not to kill everything that is slower than you. Or if you're in the PM18 and Silver Crown, trying not to get wrecked by the guys in the faster cars.
Yeah, it is such a crapshoot. It probably like spinning a roulette wheel. It is so much fun because you go out there and you're not really in control of what's going to happen. If you're one of the fast cars, a slow car, like you said, could swing out right in front of you. If you're one of the slow cars, a fast car could just come in and take you out trying to pass another one of the fast cars. None of it is malicious. It's all in great fun. And if you got nothing to do this Saturday night, come on down and race. We can take up to 63 cars on the grid.
Yep, we're hoping to fill those 63 cars too, because quite frankly, that's what makes it a ton of fun. This race will not be broadcast, by the way. I will be driving in it. You will be driving in it. Basically, the entire NRN team shows up to drive in this thing as well. It's one of the 5 races a year I get to drive. And actually, let's do this. Let's activate the poll amongst our viewers. What car should I drive this weekend? Well, let's see. Okay, well, I guess it doesn't want to let me start a poll. Let's try it again. We'll put up a poll. What car should I drive this weekend in the TNT Special Event Series Soda and a Smile 4? What would your vote be, Bizzle?
I think you should join me in the IR01. I think those cars are going to be an absolute blast to rip around.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's kind of especially with the oval mods that it got, it is definitely now it's a car that is just going to be silly fast around that place. I am really looking forward to it. But now it's time for us to get ready to go racing here again. As the qualification session is over, cars are going to start getting out onto the grid. And let's see, I think we even have a grid camera here that we can use for this one. Yes, we do. How about it? What a fantastic look there at a packed house. Ooh, buddy. Swing that drone around quick. Let's pick up your starting lineup. Good Lord, I'm going to get dizzy here. Let's pull this one up instead. They're going to have 2 laps behind the iRacing safety car. So let's take a look and show you tonight's starting grid. On the pole will be James Watson. Well, hold on a second. If it's not going to give us the right paint schemes on these cars, that's just not going to work. So we'll do the refresh. Wait for that to happen. There we go. Starting on the pole for this one will be James Watson out of, he says California. I'm going to say the great state of Ohio, or the mediocre state of Ohio, whatever you want to call it. He's lining up on the pole with a 2-lap average of 16.214. To his outside, 19 thousandths back, the number 24 of Stephen C. Thompson. Row number 2, Nietzsche Camargo from Brazil and Jesse Francisco, also from Ohio. Both of those cars carrying Team Watson Racing Setups liveries. Row number 3, Simon Fell and Andrew Berry. Look for Berry to charge forward here. This one from the outside of row 3. Jason Miller, Zach Nurnberger on row number 4. Row 5, Wes Shire and Ben Carswell. Row 6, Mike Long and the Bizzle. Row 7, Brian Labarge and Peter Donchak. That will make up your grid. Field is off of turn number 4. Great flags in the air. We are underway here at North Wilkesboro. Great start for James Watson off to turn number 1. The AJ Camargo looking inside of Stephen C. Thompson in the battle for second. James Watson getting a ton of love in the comments here, by the way. Thank you, everybody who is checking in. We appreciate the support here and the love. Make sure you keep them up here, too. Good battle. A little bit further back. Well, Brian Labarge getting around, Bizzle getting around Brian Labarge. But now let's pick up Simon Fell and Andrew Berry. Berry's going to have Nurnberger all over the attenuator of that car down the straightaways. And this is a 50-minute timed feature. So, Bizzle, it's kind of one of those deals that you really have to put some thought into. How hard do you want to push the car early? Because if you burn the tires off of this thing, 25 minutes could be a long way away.
Yeah, very long way away. I'm kind of just running laps out here. My goal today is to get a top 10. Finish the whole race. It's my first race back in a long while. I don't think I've run an actual race on iRacing in months.
Take a look and show you the rules of the road here. 90 minutes they had for practice, 2-lap average. Qualifying 85% fuel means you're going to get about 35 minutes to the fuel tank. And they will have 3 sets of tires in the box. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys decide to shake these things out. Oh, man, big hornet's nest of cars just up ahead here as caution is out. Couple of cars going around. Looks like it's going to be, let's see, Mike Long just skating past that one, but let's see, it almost looked like, yeah, Simon Fell, Zach Nurnberger were involved in that one. Nurnberger was definitely turned around. Simon Fell was also. Let's take a look here at the instant replay, see if we can see what happened here a little bit deeper in the pack. There's the 256 of Simon Fell, Zach Nurnberger just ahead. And it looks like it was going to be off of turn 4 the next time by. Andrew Berry battling with Jesse Francisco. Maybe a little bit of contact. Oh, Nurnberger just up and over the rear end of Simon Fell. And unfortunately, that's going to put Simon up into the fence. Both of those cars going to head down pit road. Bizzle and Pete Donchak also on pit lane.
Yes, so the last time I drove this car was with the controller, so I did not have the button checked for load cell brakes, so I could only achieve a quarter braking on that. I almost doored Simon Fell. He was sitting there slamming my brake to the floor, and it's only registering a quarter. I'm like, oh man, this thing ain't worth stopping.
That's absolutely fantastic. Well, it looks like Bizzle is back out on the racetrack, as is Peter Donchak.
Yes, I have a fully functioning brake pedal that will travel all the way down now.
There you go.
If there is another incident, I should be able to not crash into it. At least it won't be my brake pedal's fault. I can't blame it on that anymore.
Well, James Watson's enjoying the show here from the front. That is absolutely for certain sure. That car looked very, very quick. Let's see if we're going to get the lights on the iRacing safety car to go out here this time. And they do. So we'll try to check in with James' next caution flag. Only got about 4 minutes in before we had contact. We're down to 12 cars remaining on the racetrack. And this is something we saw last week. You get a little bit late on the car count, a couple of early incidents, and all of a sudden you've got 8 or 9 cars left. but that really changes the strategy game that you have to play. If you're West Shire, you may not have a great car tonight, but everybody else having trouble can put you towards the front.
Yeah, that's pretty much my only goal here tonight, is just stay out of the attrition and make my way, hopefully a top 5 even.
As the green flag goes back in the air, get you some of the cinematic views around the North Wilkesboro Speedway. This is the 1987 look of this racetrack. It is significantly different now with the improvements that were made by Speedway Motorsports Incorporated and the Smith family trying to get this place back up to hosting NASCAR Cup Series action. I'll tell you what, Andrew Berry having a big time down on the inside of the racetrack, almost making contact with Brian Lamarge. That allowed Wes Shire to come past, puts Wes up into position number 6. Lamarge going to be able to clear, and Andrew Berry's coming down pit lane. Trouble early on for the guy who is 3rd in points entering tonight's race. Andrew Berry hits his box. Car's going to go up on the jacks, and quite frankly, it is going to be potentially a race-ending issue for Andrew Berry, as that car is now up over 13 seconds. We'll see if we can't get a quick word in here with Andrew while that car is on pit lane. And Andrew, tough luck. Looked like a little bit of a tight squeeze down in turns 3 and 4. Is that what put you down pit lane?
Yeah, I got into the curve off of 3 and 4, and it caused me to check up, and I think the car behind me just hit my right rear. I don't know how he got away with it. It meatballed me, so I think I have about 5 minutes of damage. I don't know if I'll go back out or not. It felt drivable, like it felt fine, but
not a good way to start the run. All right, Andrew, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to check in with us here up in the booth. And
so I will keep that note. The front of the car is much stronger than the rear.
yeah, apparently. Sounds like both meatballs to both car 32, Zach Nurnberger, and the 256 of Simon Fell. The 32 car of Nurnberger has suffered terminal damage, and he will be out of this race. At the front, James Watson, Stephen C. Thompson, the AJ Camargo breaking away from 4th place, Jason Miller. This is going to be about the closest battle on the racetrack right now. And Bizzle, we talked about the number of laps that were put on this place with the dynamic track and how many with the 90-minute practice. This is showing me potentially 228 laps left to go in this thing. Now, it's set for 250 laps, so it's a little bit off in terms of that count. But this thing could go 250 laps in that 50 minutes. That's a whole lot of laps to put on this place, and not a lot of grooves to hunt for grip.
No, I'm kind of riding like second groove up. It feels comfortable here, but it's definitely not the fastest. I am well off the pace here.
Picking up the battle here with Brian Lamarge, Jesse Francisco, and Ben Carswell. There's Lamarge just out front. Swing the Exorcist cam around and get a look at Ben Carswell's number 48 machine. Kind of trying to go everywhere he possibly can. This is definitely a difficult place to try to get a pass completed.
I haven't had the opportunity to try that yet.
So going back to the outside look. Really one of the best battles we have. Actually, let's slide back a little bit here. Mike Law and Peter Donchak battling for the 9th position. Just watching the way these cars are starting to twitch around here, this really does feel like this is going to be a battle of survival for the next 40 minutes and change.
Oh, absolutely. This car is getting very difficult to drive.
This is almost sounding winded, if you will. I believe that is driving a Get Well Soon Wes Homestead Coffee paint scheme. Wes might appreciate that tonight, actually. He was not having a good time with this car. Described it as different, and he didn't know if it was in a good way. It
doesn't feel like it's ever felt before. It feels very, very twitchy, but very grippy at the same time. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I'm definitely slow, that's for sure.
Let's take a look here. The 10-lap average for the Bizzler, 16.724. The 3 race leaders running 16.3s for their 5-lap average. I'll tell you what, Stephen C. Thompson and the AJ Camargo are doing a fantastic job of just harassing James Watson here at the front. Now, as we're down to 38 minutes or so remaining in a very long green flag run, does it start to concern you at all, Bizzle, that you haven't practiced your pit lane entry?
Not at all. I have driven this track a handful of times in stock cars and had to make pit stops for it. So this thing should be a little more nimble. I should be all right.
You must not have seen everybody that was spinning trying to get onto pit lane off the banking in 4.
Well, Wes is a noted stock car hater, so I can imagine he's never done any stock car.
It's interesting that ordinarily at a place this tight, the TNT rulebook would say enter pit lane at the entrance to turn number 3. Get the car on the apron and just stay out of the way. The problem is you really can't do that here. You'll see them as they come around. You basically have to enter pit road at speed exiting turn 4, and it's a pretty big call out to say, hey, I'm pitting, box, box, box. Peter Donchak. Go ahead.
Darlington with less room.
That's a great comparison, calling it Darlington with less room. Again, another racetrack, very, very difficult pit entry, and that's the kind of place that we would see these guys have to get off the racing line and make their way down in the entrance to turn number 3, but like we said, just not possible. Here's lap or so ago, Peter Donchak getting around Mike Long. Simon Fell still in his car in the pit box. 10 minutes and 8 seconds of repair work that has gone on to the 256. That is dedication. We will say that. Wes Shire looking inside of Jason Miller in the battle for the 4th position. That Homestead coffee machine maybe starting to come to life a little bit here. But this is also one of those times that, is it, in this case, Jason Miller falling off, or is it Wes Shire getting faster? Sometimes that can be really difficult to figure that one out.
Yeah, especially with the tires falling off of everyone. Everyone is going to be going a little slower than they were before. You can't really tell who's saving, who is pushing, who's just lost all their grip.
Brian Labarge is your hard charger of the race. He is up 7 from where he started this one. Wes Shire, Peter Donchak, both up 5. Ben Carswell up 3. Jason Miller up 2. In the early battle for most positions gained, James Watson, the leader in the clubhouse, will say, for the bonus point for most laps led, still ahead of Stephen C. Thompson and the AJ Camargo as they are starting to work their way through lap traffic. Well, quite frankly, having to work their way through Bizzle. Does the honorable thing, pulls up way out of the way. I think you even got a whole lot of break on that one through 1 and 2 to let the leaders pass.
I let all 3 of them go by before further exit. I don't want to throw any of them off.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal. That was part of the discussion in the pre-race even of trying to get some, friends of friends and those kinds of things to join the race tonight to up the car count a little bit. The problem was you just didn't want to have we'll say, quote-unquote, field filler potentially cause an issue for one of our championship contenders.
Yep, too late in the season and interfere with the fight. If it was race 1 or 2, then whoever's faster can get by me. Right now, it's just go by me, you're in the fight, I'm not.
In fact, I think that's what the iRacing spotter now tells you. That's not our fight. Fine, I'll let them pass. That, by the way, is a fantastic rationale for driving the IRO1. You're not really going to hear that all that often.
The Indy cars can stay in the draft of the IRO1, but if they lose the draft, then they start falling back. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see during the race.
Well, we have 3 votes in the poll. Nobody says I should drive the PM18. There's 1 vote for the Crown, 1 for the IR18, and 1 for the IRO1. Which of these do we think I have the best chance of winning in?
Probably the
and
IRO1.
None of them is.
Oh, is none of them an option?
No, that's... Yeah, we'll joke about my 3-digit I rating a little bit later on, but 33 minutes, 30 seconds remaining in this one. Stephen C. Thompson way up on the outside of the racetrack. Through 3 and 4, that allows the AJ Camargo to pass through. And James Watson opening that gap up. It's now to 3/4 of a second as they work their way into 3. TDC Havoc says I should run the Crown. There's now 2 votes for the IRO1, 1 for the IR18, and 1 for the Silver Crown. Get the votes in. We will close the poll at the conclusion of the broadcast. So even if some of our drivers that are in the show want to cast a vote here, we'll be able to do that one in the post-race while we're doing the interviews. But I will let the viewers choose what car I run, and then I'll have to come up with a paint scheme for it. Right now, by the way, this is the best battle on the racetrack. You are not missing anything. It's 2 seconds back from Stephen C. Thompson in 3rd to Wes Shire in 4th. Another 2 seconds back to Jason Miller in 5th. 2.5 to Brian LaBarge in 6th. This race has absolutely settled down here as we get to 32 minutes remaining, which is not necessarily a surprise. These guys are very, very good at managing these race cars over the long run and, quite frankly, not hitting stuff much either. As the AJ Camargo has caught race leader James Watson.
Watson is running a little bit slow. My spotter just let me know he's running 16.7s. I'm running 16.6s, so if I'm going faster than Watson, there's a problem there.
Okay. Silvala checking in saying, I feel like I shouldn't have been allowed to vote. I don't know a thing about race cars. I just like watching them zoom. Yes. We can make the fun noises. Cast the vote. Doesn't matter. The IRO1, they're in order of fastest to slow. So if you want to see me drive something slow, that would definitely be the Silver Crown. Yes, there you go. Now we're going to get all the vroom vrooms and yells in the comments.
I'm seeing on my broadcast monitor M. McCullen putting a thing up that's showing all my blue flags.
That is correct.
It's like a tweet log.
That is exactly right. So we're about 5 minutes away from the halfway point of this race, and Ray B, it's not an option He says drive the V. Just have one singular Formula V, and that will be me.
We don't have to do that. We just got to give you an IRL1, and it'll go the same speed.
Not necessarily lying. Actually, a better poll question might be, what should I be drinking during the soda and a smile? I almost called it by the brand name that we're not allowed to.
I think you should drink one of those with some Jack.
That could be a very bad night, but it's a potential. Leave it in the comments. What should I be drinking? That's not a night we break out the Johnny Blue, that's for sure.
It can be, if you win.
If I win, we might be breaking out the Johnny Blue. Oh, Jason Owens is checking in the comments. Start talking booze and Jason Owens wakes up. He says whiskey sours, specifically the long winters now. TDC Havoc gives us no soda product, only Jack. Silvala, I like my colas with Beam. I like Beam. I prefer Jack, but Beam is not bad. There is a very nice full bottle of Jameson upstairs.
Maybe I'll do a gin and tonic.
Oh, Ed McCullen, you win. Johnny Blue Flags.
I just want to say, I've been going so slow, I can hold out for a caution here because my tires are not worn at all. I'm running the same pace I was on lap 1.
Let's see. Patrick Byrne has consistently, over the 15 laps, run a 16.756. His best lap is only a 16.5. The leaders have fallen off pretty significantly, though. The 15-lap average for James Watson, a 16.464. The 5-lap average, a 16.516. They are getting slower as this race ticks on. The question becomes, if you have to do a green flag stop, do you take tires?
You have to. The tires are only additional, 6 seconds? You're losing 6 seconds every 10 laps here at this slow speeds.
That's a great point. I'm going to put this comment up on screen from Jason Owens. 4 ounces of bourbon, 2 ounces of maple syrup simple, 1 ounce of lemon juice, finish with star anise and a lemon wedge. That's impossible to make while you're driving a car at 240 miles an hour. It has to be something that is easily replaceable, Jason. Come on.
Well, how much does your wife love you? Will she make you more during the race?
Not a chance.
Oh, man.
There is, yes, she loves me, but there is not a chance that she's making me more cocktails during the race.
That is my favorite thing. I don't know if you've ever done a Pour Drink Friday with Gary. Our friend Gary DeMoss here at TNT. His wife will constantly keep re-upping him. It turns into like 15 Drink Fridays by the time the race is.
Yeah, but it's probably close. See? Havoc's got it. Thus, just drink Jack. Just have the bottle next to you. Yeah, but I gotta set a... This is true. No, Marty, we're gonna bang a 5th of Jack on a Saturday night. That sounds like a fantastically bad idea. The poll, by the way, poll results are tied. The IR01 and the Silver Crown. Looks like 1 vote for the IR18 and none for the PM18. As the race leaders are working their way through lap traffic. West Shire not really gaining any ground, still sitting about 2 and change seconds back. I mean, maybe ever so slightly picking up some time on your 3 leaders. Jason says make a gallon beforehand and fill the hydration pad. That's a terribly good idea. So
Here you go. Get a milk jug. Get a big long rubber hose that goes all the way down the milk jug, and then just like tape it under your chin.
Jason Owens saying none for the PM18s aligns with officials' participation, though. That is exactly right. Next time by the start-finish line, by the way, it'll be crossed flags and halfway home in this one here. Bizzle pulling down pit lane. Looks like he is going to make his one well, I guess not required pit stop, but the one needed pit stop. We'll see if he actually stops in the box here. He does. Courtesy of the spotter audio that I have from Bizzle's car in my other ear. He is down and away and back out onto the speedway.
My apologies.
No, you're good, buddy. I don't think that's coming through. Could you guys hear Bizzle's spotter?
If you can hear it, they can hear it.
Maybe not over the cars. I don't have the cars in
Oh,
here, so.
you have a mix going.
Yes, I do have a mix. And McCullen saying, is that what Jason does for endurance races? Would explain a lot. Yes! Havoc says they can't hear your spotter, so there we go. Stephen C. Thompson definitely falling back off of Watson and Camargo at this point. Next up on the list is going to be 7th place Mike Long. He will be the next car for the leaders to come around.
I'm going to need one car to attrition himself to get a top 10 here. Jesse Francisco is about to lap me. He is in 10th.
Yeah, he's the next guy ahead of you on the leaderboard. Oh, we've got the first of our leaders on pit lane, and it's going to be Stephen C. Thompson. That car will hit the box and go up on the jacks, so it'll be a 4-tire change, 4 fresh Cooper tires, and a full load of fuel, or at least enough to make the finish for Stephen C. Thompson. Man, that's the other thing about North Wilkesboro. Pit exit spits you right out into the racing line. So Watson trying to work around Mike Long. The question now becomes, when do we see Watson and Camargo make their way down pit lane? Camargo not able to pass the lapped car at the same time as Watson does. That'll help James open the gap up ever so slightly. With the pit stop by Stephen C. Thompson, that promotes Wes Shire up into position number 3. So this, barring something crazy, this championship race will go down to the final race of the season next week at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Everybody, well, now in the Paul Tracy danger zone, Jason Owens says cue a foot reference. He is going full Paul Tracy in the comments.
Pulled it off. Must have tagged something. The car was getting a little sketchy to drive. Didn't want to bring out a caution, so that is it for the Bisberg. 94 laps on the more than I think the whole year.
Jason Miller now on pit lane. He's going to be the second of our front-running cars to make a pit stop. And he is already back out onto the speedway. Ben Carswell on pit lane as well. And hold up here. Battle for the race lead in the AJ Camargo around James Watson, but that's because Watson's on pit lane. He's going to bring that 39 machine into the attention of the Team Watson Racing Setups crew. Cars up on the jacks. Same story for fresh Cooper tires. Enough fuel to get to the end of this one, and Watson's back out on the racetrack. But Stephen C. Thompson is right there and comes around James Watson. Sounds like the short pit was absolutely the way to go here, Bizzle.
Yeah, it seems to have worked out really, really well.
Now, this truly is the danger zone, though, because the AJ Camargo still on the racetrack, and everybody is a lap down.
The only thing the AJ wants to see right now is a caution. That means he gets the pit, come out, and he gets to stay in the lead. And there he comes down pit road.
There you go. Hit the limiter, hit the box. He should be down and away. The question is, how much time did he give up? Michael Long has not yet made his pit stop as Camargo hits his box cleanly. Car's up on the jacks, and it'll be down just as quick. And Camargo gives up a ton of time to Stephen C. Thompson and James Watson. Watson is absolutely going to have to go on the offensive now. And one of the big things here is that these tires take a long time to get up to temperature and really in that optimum operating range. That's something that the short pit by Thompson is really going to allow him to hold the gap. The question is, does Watson have enough in that car in chase down speed? He had enough to hold the lead. Does he have enough to chase down Stephen C. Thompson when he gets the tires up to temperature? Because 18 minutes is still a long time to go in this race.
I feel like he does. He should be able to get by Thompson. He's been the fastest car all night. But Thompson is also a very, very fast driver as well. So I just don't know how aggressive he's going to be with James West being in the battle for points lead. If Thompson's going to maybe dial it back to an 8 or a 9, not go full 10 or 11.
Well, it's a great point as they're coming up here on Mike Long. And that is an on-track pass for the race lead as Mike Long finally hits pit lane. Doesn't get the caution that he would have needed to make that strategy call play out. Now leaders trying to get around the lap car of Peter Donchak.
Also a point of how aggressive is James going to be. A second place finish for him is second place points. It's not a win, but it's more points than Wes is going to earn here tonight. If he manages to crash somehow and falls all the way back to the 10th position, that's basically handing the championship to Wes. And I know the battle's tight, but he can't give it all away.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. I mean, it's one of those deals that so long as he's ahead of Wes Shire tonight, and he's, wow, what a save! What a save, Petey Donchak. Good Lord, son. Hold up. We need to see this one on the NRN replay here. This car was wrecked.
Four-wheel drift almost tagged the wall.
That was fantastic. Nice save, Pete. Now Watson falling back into the clutches of the AJ Camargo. But we were talking about the fact that so long as Watson finishes ahead of Wes tonight and does the same thing next week at Gateway, James Watson's going to claim his first TNT Series championship. So this battle has settled down ever so slightly. Let's slide back in the field a little bit here and pick up Brian Lamarge and Jason Miller. They're about as far apart as Watson and Camargo are, coming around the lap car of Michael Long. Lamarge has been easily the most frustrated driver with the outcome of races in this series this season. Lightning quick in practice, and it just does not translate to the race. So Lala checking in saying, I'm going to hear race car noises in my sleep tonight, and I can't say I'd complain. No, that's the best part about this job.
Yeah, except I make them in my sleep when I get home.
That sounds about right.
Especially when I start doing turbo noises.
That's called snoring.
No, it's called a blow-off valve.
Lamarge almost getting it up into the outside wall. This battle's staying tight. I'll tell you what, let's take a look at the weather conditions here. 68-degree ambient temperature, 73-degree track temperature. Should be about optimal conditions for these guys. But definitely seeing some darker clouds rolling in here. iRacing is calling their weather system Tempest. It's not something that is in play yet. That will be coming Season 2 of 2024, allegedly. But we are seeing some of those things starting to come into play, especially with the dynamic track that they've released with as part of the Oval Refresh. Going on board here with Jason Miller as he's battling with Brian Lamarge. Oh, big save there for Miller. Wow. You heard him way off the throttle exiting turn 4 that time. Oh, Lamarge gets up into the fence. Good Lord. This really is the Exorcist cam. Trying to keep up with these two is, well, we'll say a little bit tricky. Down to 12 minutes left. The gap is 1.4 seconds between Stephen C. Thompson and James Watson. So Watson has cut that down ever so slightly. The AJ Camargo runs third.
That's plenty of time still to catch him.
Plenty of time to catch him or to hope for a yellow. Now, I don't think we're going to get a caution flag. But if you're West Shire, you just got to be chomping at the bit for a yellow at this point. I'm going to put this comment up here because the skies keep getting darker. For the first ever iRacing rain pop up in this shock race. Biggest troll ever, if so. Greg West, if you're watching, first, why? And second, just turn it on. Just hit the switch for this particular session.
I don't see any cars in the fence.
It would be awesome. That's what rain would sound like. In fact, that's what rain is going to sound like when it's released on iRacing. 800,000 members that can't drive the car to begin with. Let's add rain. Our French nemesis, Sebastian Kinder, and his alter ego, Jacques Debris, maybe could make an appearance tonight. It would certainly spice things up. Also, potentially getting a little spicy here, Jason Miller has closed the gap down to Wes Shire from 2 seconds to about 8.5 tenths. Continues to close. We'll show you Wes Shire here. And there's Jason Miller. He's that blue car, third in line, just working around Peter Donchak. DJF checking in. Chris on the money with his 800,000 members that already can't drive. DJF also saying no ice cream for Wes tonight. No, he may want a Homestead coffee to wake himself up, though. Brian Lamarge falling back into the clutches of Ben Carswell. This is the fight for 6th and 7th on the Speedway. Carswell would be the next car to go one lap down to the race leader. Now you can just barely see that yellow leader, Stephen C. Thompson. Oh, as Carswell goes way high through 3 and 4. He about put that car in the fence exiting turn 4. And the gap is officially closed. Jason Miller within a car length of Wes Shire to turn 1.
Taking a dive towards the inside. They're going to be side by side off the corner.
I'll tell you what, this is not going to be much of a fight. The 5-lap averages are 2 tenths apart. That Jason Miller is faster than Wes Shire right now. At this point, if you're Wes, you're almost like you're in damage control because it's kind of the same thing as with James Watson. You just can't have the issue that would end your championship right here. Stephen C. Thompson, your race leader, working his way through lap traffic with 7 minutes and 8 seconds to go. The AJ Camargo had caught right back up to James Watson, but now with the lap traffic coming into play, is this where the short pit potentially becomes a hindrance for Stephen C. Thompson? Yes, he was able to get around Watson after the pit stop, so the track position was important. But having those extra few minutes of running on the tires, that could really hurt you late in the run.
Yeah, it looks like Steven's starting to fall off a little bit. You hear that? James stayed a little bit close. That gap now down to 8 tenths of a second.
The 15-lap average and the 10-lap average, Watson is a little bit quicker. However, the 5-lap average, Thompson is a hair faster, and I'm talking less than 0.02 of a second. These guys running very similar lap times. As Havoc is checking in saying, time for the NRN space program. We already have one. It's run by the North Koreans. Allegedly. Please don't invade my house, NSA.
Oh, can we live stream?
Do you people want to see it? If the commenters want to see it, we'll live stream some Kerbal. I did get KSP2. It's kind of in a pre-release right now, but
You have to do a shot every time you kill a turtle.
God, that'd be terrible. Yeah, the commenters are having fun with my NSA jokes here. Jason Owen says, "To the moon." Havoc wants to see it. Jason Owen says, "Kermit is knocking on your door." Jason, I will have something for you post-race. Bizzle knows exactly what it is. It will not be shared for global consumption. The gap holding pretty steady right now at about 1 second. I mean, it's fluttering right around 1.0, 1.1 seconds. But Stephen C. Thompson is about to catch a battle for position. Ominous is one way of saying it, Jason. Thompson catching Peter Donchak, and then it's going to be Ben Carswell and Brian Labarge. These guys are battling for 6th and 7th. Now, they should be far enough apart. Well, we say that, and they catch right back up to each other. Now, 3.5 minutes left. You've got a 1 second lead. Is there any sense of urgency for Stephen C. Thompson to try to make this pass?
No. I wouldn't think so. Just kind of hunt around and hopefully they let you by.
Don't go J.R. Hildebrand.
Yes, bingo.
It's getting tight in 1 and 2. Carswell going to have a great run on Labarge to 3.
Labarge is way up high, letting the leaders by.
That's huge for Stephen C. Thompson. Ray is checking in saying rain in turn 4. That'd be awesome. Carswell up, out of the way. 2.5 minutes left to go, and Stephen C. Thompson just needs to keep all 4 tires pointed in the proper direction. A battle that's getting good, though, is between Watson and Camargo as they're working their way through this same pile of lap traffic. Oh, as Carswell goes around, he's stationary on the racetrack. Do we get a caution flag? It looks like we will not. With 1:55 to go, we're seeing about 8 laps remaining in this one. And a total of about 170 laps have been completed by these cars. No cautions outside of one occurring very early in the race for Simon Fell and Zach Nurnberger. And with 90 seconds to go, the gap is 2 seconds and growing for Stephen C. Thompson. Shire currently runs in the 5th position, about 2 seconds back of Jason Miller for 4th, and 8 seconds ahead of Brian Labarge. And Bizzle, we may have to start doing the research here. And this may be possibly a first TNT Shock Series victory for Stephen C. Thompson.
Yeah, I don't believe we talked to him before, but the race is not over yet. He's sitting in the waiting for interview booth.
I noticed that.
All race,
The entire race, he has been sitting in the waiting for interview booth. Time is up on the session. White flag is out. Twin checkers now in the air. And Stephen C. Thompson gets the win at North Wilkesboro. James Watson will come home second. The AJ Camargo rounds out the podium. But a fantastic first win for Stephen C. Thompson. We had some discussions earlier in the night about, do we put this show on the air with a little bit light of a car count? I'll tell you what, Bizzle, a first-time winner, a great race throughout the pack. I think we got the call right on this one to get this show up on the air.
Yeah, that was a fun one. A very, very difficult track to drive. Brought out the best of the drivers.
Yes, it did. And quite frankly, they were concerned about wadding up a bunch of race cars and everything else. And these guys ran, 45 minutes clean and green, including very difficult entry and exit of pit road. Absolutely fantastic show from the TNT Shock Series drivers tonight. I think Stephen C. Thompson is trying to drive back to victory lane.
He looks like he's practiced this before. He knows the way.
He knows the way. One of the coolest victory lanes in motorsports, by the way. You get up, you kind of drive the car onto a platform. You would drive the
crash.
Well, no, let's see. He's still moving. He's now managed to Austin Powers himself in between a fence and a phone booth. So you can't park there, bud.
He's going to try and go through the same fence the other way. Oh.
Yeah, no. Okay. That one's not going to work either. Oh, then he knocks the wing off the car. That's all right. This is worth it. We don't need the race results. All right, now we can take a look at your race results. Stephen C. Thompson gets the win by 2 seconds over James Watson. The AJ Camargo rounds out your podium finishers. Jason Miller and Wes Shire complete the top 5. 6 through 10, Brian Lamarge, Ben Carswell, Jesse Francisco, Mike Long, and Peter Dodchak. Rounding out the field, Patrick Byrne, the Bizzler, coming home in 11th. Andrew Berry in 12th. Simon Fell and Zach Nurnberger going out very early in this race. They both finished 168 laps down. Now it's time for us to do some victory lane interviews here, and let's bring in our race winner. I think a first-time race winner here in the TNT Shock Series. Stephen C. Thompson, congratulations. A absolutely fantastic drive. How key was that call to short pit and gain that little bit of track position on James?
Well, let's go start from the front. I think this is the first Shock win. It's a free V series and a Bolt series win, but this is definitely the first time in the Shock series. And then the short pit was actually forced by hand. I found early on that you couldn't run your tires more than about 50, 60 laps green. I think I came in with 40% wear, and I preloaded like 5.5 to 5.8 gallons of fuel, planning on an 80 lap run. Maybe get lucky with the caution. We only had one, and it somehow got me lucky enough to go a one-stopper, and I just knew split it in half. I don't know what lap I pit at, but we finished with like 180 or 179 laps, and I was pitting it somewhere in the early 90s, and we had caution on lap 10. So I just think the clean air was huge. I could have kept up with James for a while, but then dirty air, and I let Niej go. And then when I got out in front and ran 3, 4, 5 laps before they got into pit road, I just had tires up to speed, and they couldn't get up to temp either. I did save it a few times on the first 5, 10 laps of that second stint. It got real squirrely, and that's actually what helped on the second stint. Is the right side, rear and front were burning the same. It was like a 30% differential on the first stint, but it was 50-50 on front and rear for the second stint, so it was perfect.
Well, and that sounds like, quite frankly, a lot of work going into the setup of this car, because we heard a lot of complaining in the pre-race of, I just don't know what this car feels like. How much work did you put into prepping for tonight and the setup on this car?
I think it's actually kind of a group effort. Niej and Wes were saying Richmond 3.2. And Richmond 3.2 is actually the setup I used when Ciacelli and Barry were battling it out, and I finished second. And all I did was jack the right front up a half pound. I added one more angle of wing, and I just balanced out the aero to be a little bit more sticky on the rear. And it was really tight originally, and that's what the clean air helped with. But when you got that good fuel balance on 5 gallons or half fuel, 60%, whatever it was, you had a lot more speed because you had a lot less drag, and the aerodynamics was just working out better.
With an incredibly technical description of that, most of which flies square over my head. But I'll tell you what, it was a fantastic drive for you tonight too, because that right out of the pit stop, you had the little bit of the advantage of warmer tires over James coming out on those fresh, cold tires. Did that make a big difference in being able to pull that gap a little bit? Because I think it was a little bit closer than maybe you wanted that gap to be with the short pit.
I got so lucky. I don't know what the gap was at when I pit, but I had 3.5 laps of fuel. So I don't know what they put in for fuel, but whatever the pit stop margin was, I was like running almost 17-second laps before I came in. So I was like, I can't go another 3 laps and lose another 0.3 a lap. So yeah, I came in, and I don't know what the margin was, but like if I'm losing, almost a full second every 3 laps, it's not worth it. But yeah, I apologize to James. I thought I squeezed him on exit, but I think it's just a little bit of a optical illusion with how flat it is down there on exit, and you aren't really going that fast when you enter turn 1. So it was pretty close.
Well, I tell you what, brother, congratulations. It was a fantastic show. Man, we really enjoyed the show that you guys put on for us here. And before we let you go, do any of the sponsor plugs and shout outs you want to get in here too?
Yeah, just a shout out to Press Start Energy and Pony Express Esports. I know we got a bunch of team events coming up, so hopefully if you see Pony Express out there, we give you a good race. But just a thanks to you guys again. I know it's been a long season. Glad to be back. I know I'm usually spectating, it seems like, this time of year. So it's weird to come off a 2-week off week and come back to the first win ever. So have a good one.
Faye, thank you, brother. Fantastic show, like we said, and congratulations on the first-time win here. Let's bring in our runner-up finisher tonight now, Mr. James Watson. And I tell you what, James, the car was an absolute rocket ship tonight. You claimed the bonus point for leading the most laps. Maybe a little frustrated with a second-place finish, but all in all, this is exactly what you have to do to win a championship.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure what to do strategy-wise. Like, I knew that with how close everyone was, that it was going to be close, and the undercut was going to have some serious, be seriously in play. So I was considering it, but with how the tires started to wear towards the end, I didn't want to run the risk of going for it and burning the tires off to the point to where I going for the win and losing positions. I don't want to take it too easy, but I don't want to take too many risks either. It's tough being in the championship position. You have to balance it. So I did what I thought would, and honestly, I thought that it would work out. I was hoping with how much Steven's tires fell off in the first run that it would basically kind of be the same thing, especially since he pitted so much earlier. So I thought it was the right strategy, but yeah, he just was just really good in the clean air.
Yeah, that was it. It seemed like track position was absolutely king here tonight. Was there any thought to saying he pitted, I have to come in next lap?
No, I was kind of keeping myself to I was basically kind of keeping an eye on the time left and focusing on those around me and figuring what to do next. Like at first, I'm like, I'm not gonna think about pitting until 25 minutes ago, and then I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna think about till 23 minutes ago, and I'm like, the tires are still holding up. I'm not gonna pit until 21 minutes to go, and then it became okay. So I'm not that far to the end of my fuel run. Come in with 21 minutes to go. Try to get the undercut on Naiji, and hope that I could get back around Steven. And yeah, I guess I could have and should have pushed a little harder when I came out of the pits, but with how the tires wore, and that was with me taking it easy in that first run. I was saving tires as much as I could without that's why I really wasn't pulling away for the most part. I was trying to save tires. So with all that data, I just thought that would be the correct strategy.
Well, now as we get ready to head into the championship finale 1 week from tonight at the artist formerly known as Gateway, does your notebook get completely reset? I mean, we have turned thousands of laps in this car at that racetrack. Are you able to hold on to anything that you had notebook wise in terms of setups as we get ready for the championship finale?
I mean, because like I can't quite remember how things were at Wilkesboro without for the last time we raced here, but like I did like a full fuel test run after Kern, after the update, and to me it didn't really seem like, at least to my driving, it didn't really seem like there was much of a difference. But yeah, you never know. Kern, it's still a new track in our world, so I don't know how things are going to be for Gateway until we get to Gateway.
Well, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. And I'll tell you what, James, a lot of love in the comments here tonight. A whole bunch of fans tuning in for you. Congratulations on the runner-up finish. And before we let you go, make sure you do all the sponsor plugs and shout-outs you got.
Yeah, I had a bunch of friends tuning in and watching, and they were cheering me on, and I really appreciate it. They watched me completely step on my dick like an idiot last week, so at least they got to see me drive not like an idiot and almost pull off the dub. So I got to thank my adorable little fan club here. I got to thank my dad too. I know he was watching, and I really wish I got the win tonight for him, because I was not in a great space after said dick stepping last week. I was just all kinds of screwed up, and I talked with my mother about it, and then she helped me get through the why that went down, and then he gave me like the best rah pep talk you could possibly get. And he's like, don't points race, don't pay attention to the championship, don't lit up, don't pussyfoot, just go as fast as you can, and whatever happens. If I catch you pussyfooting trying to worry about the championship, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna slap you. And hopefully that this was not a slap worthy performance. So I gotta thank him and Mom for their love and support. I gotta thank you and everyone else at National Racing Network, Martin Sports Sim Racing Apparel, Boomer Button Boxes, new partner for our dirt side, White Knuckle Setup Shop. If you want to check out some awesome dirt setups, go check them out. And ZAS Designs and Dizzy V Designs for putting together my paint schemes, and the owner of Dizzy V Designs, Victor, for helping me test and helping me put together some good setups.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us here in the booth on a, quite frankly, a very nice. This is a Tuesday, right? Oh, let's see.
Yes, that is the Tuesday Night Thunder series.
It is a Tuesday Night Thunder. Bizzle, if you could do me the favor and drag in Mr. Camargo into the booth with us here. Well, let's see, because it looks like we might be losing everything here at the moment. But we'll take a look. Hopefully we stay on the air long enough to talk to the AJ Camargo. AJ, are you in the room with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, buddy.
Good night.
Congratulations on a third place finish here. It looks like screens are going black. I've got stuff blowing up all over the place here. But, man, really nice drive tonight. That had to be a lot of fun battling with James and Steven up there at the pointy end of the field.
This was great fun, man. A really great race. The three of us was really top level today. It was incredible.
Yeah, I mean it was a great show that you guys put on, and talk us through it a little bit, because it seemed like the car was really good. Ultimately, maybe staying out just a little bit too long on the long strategy maybe wasn't the totally right call to make, but ultimately still put you up on the podium. Well, it looks like we may have lost our Discord connection entirely here, so not sure if we're encountering some interwebs issues or something. The stream still looks healthy, but with that, it's going to be time for us to get the heck on out of here. It was a fantastic show tonight. Thank you very much to all of you for tuning in. Unfortunately, not able to talk to the AJ Camargo, but all in all, really good show out of the TNT Shock Series. We thank you very much for tuning in with us. For Patrick Byrne and everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows happen, my name is Chris Graham. We appreciate you coming to hang out, and we will talk to you all soon. Have a great night, everybody.